So hey guys, what's up? This is Scher talking. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about Romancing SaGa Universe. We will be talking about the current banner that has Professor, Emelia, Khalid, and Faerie. Well, this banner actually is a merge of two banners from the Japanese version of the game. They are limited, and this is why we need to talk about these characters. Let's just click here on Summon Details. They made some changes to two of the characters here. The first one is Emelia. Emelia is amazing in the selling point of this banner. Let's just click here on try. We will be talking about all of her three skills. We have Random Shot. Random Shot is an AoE attack that deals blunt damage. Starts with 7 DP. It has D power instead of E. We have Light Ball, Chocolate Balls. There are attacks that has E power. Random Shot is stronger, even more if you max this attack. Can be useful for farming, and only on Emelia and some other characters that can increase the BP. That is because Emelia can get 2 more BPs on the start of a fight with one of her passives. And then Random Shot will cost 6 BP once awakened. That means 18 BP if you want to use it 3 times, and that is enough because Emelia gets 18 BP in 3 turns. That is amazing for future farming. There will be stages where you only need blunt damage. I think that she will have the highest AoE damage potential for some time, but you also have to find enemies that are weak to blunt. And it's also worth noticing that this Emelia has an AoE attack, but the Japanese version of her didn't have. She had a single target attack, and also the second SS style of Emelia doesn't have any AoE. This was changed for global, and it was a change that made her way better. Emelia has a lot of damage potential. So second skill is Bound Shot. This attack is the same we have with T260G. We also have this with the Professor, we'll be talking later. It's very high damage for a very low cost. 6 BP if you awaken it 2 times with 8 power, very strong for when you want steady damage. But the selling point of Emelia is Sweet Trap. The Sweet Trap is a very strong attack that has triple S damage. We don't have many triple S damage in this game. You only had Ellen, then we got Final Emperor, now we have Emelia. And Emelia has something very unique. This attack was also changed for global. It now has a pierce property as well. So, blunt plus pierce damage, 14 BP cost, triple S damage. That is super strong for the current pace of the game. Not only that, because she also gets plus 2 BP on the start of a fight, she can trigger this attack on the first turn. This is something that doesn't happen until we get the second version of Kaiser. There will be other characters that also has this type of function, using a very strong skill on the first turn, but she has 2 properties, guys. Blunt plus pierce, and that makes her very strong for the foreseeable future. Well, let me click here on back. I want to show you her abilities so we can discuss this a little further. The first one is Power Charge. This one was the one that changed it. Initially, it was 25% of getting 1 BP point that we already have with lots of other characters, but Power Charge is actually better in my opinion because it's something that you can rely on. If you are using her for, like I said, AoE farming, she will always be able to trigger 3 times. It's a guarantee. You use that passive with Teacher Undine. Sometimes she changes different attacks because of inconsistency. And not only that, Emelia has 2 other passives that increase her damage potential almost all times. Powered Up 4 increases her damage by 15%. Weak Point Focus 3 also increases by 15%, but when she attacks the weak point of your enemies. You should always use her when facing enemies that are weak to blunt or pierce. I think that this makes her for a very strong damage dealer. Not only that, but her status also proves that she has a very huge damage potential. You can click here on CP. You can see that the style is focused on dexterity, agility, and will. I will also show you guys the now website for her status multipliers. So this is the website. You can see that this version of Emelia is the first one that we can summon for. Has 83% multiplier for dexterity, 17 more points by maxing the style. She has very high agility, but the formations that increases dexterity usually decrease agility. She also has very high spirit, and that's it. All the other status are kinda average. She do not need the next version of her because everything that she needs comes with this style. A character that is strong and released to not need inheritance. Well, this is Emelia. So, okay, let's just get back to Emelia here by clicking on this. Sweet Trap will be very powerful. I can assure you that. not only is super strong, I will also show you a comparison with the current pierce and blunt attacks in the game so far. So I just made this filter that only shows pierce and blunt damage skills in the game, and you can see that there are characters that have higher power. Of course, this is also based on the current Japanese version of the game, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters only beyond Emelia, and that is amazing for a character that is a little old if you consider that Emelia was released on a half anniversary and they are reaching the 2nd anniversary. It makes Emelia a character with a very high longevity. Not only that, but after Emelia, only one of those characters have an attack with 2 properties. I know some of these characters have higher status, they have better passives, but that's just an indication of how strong this character is. Well, now back to Emelia here. I also want to show you a comparison to one of the strongest characters we have in the game so far, and that is Azami. Well, this is Azami. A lot of people don't want to summon for Emelia because they say they have Azami. Azami is strong enough. Well, you don't need another blunt damage dealer. There are plenty of blunt damage dealers. Yes, there is. And they are very useful because of submission. But Emelia will out-damage Azami at all times if you are using the last skill. The Azami has Guanyin. Guanyin is a double S damage attack, 13 BP, so you see only one difference in BP cost, but higher damage. Not only that, but the abilities of the 2 characters are kind of similar, but it's better on Emelia. Azami has Fighting Spirit 2 in her favor. That increases 20% of her agility with the 25% chances of triggering. The bad thing is that when you are using this type of passive in a martial artist character, it doesn't really increase 20% of her potential, because she needs both agility and STR to increase her damage. It's half each value, not exactly half, but very close to. And that doesn't give her so much values. RG Wallop is the 2nd passive that increases 15% of her damage, but only when she's on full HP. And when you are facing challenges, that doesn't always happen. You are always taking damage, and it's hard to keep Azami on full HP. The last one is Fired Up 4. Fired Up 4 increases 15% at all times, just like Emelia. So I think that Azami will not have the same passives activate, just like Emelia. You cannot compare both. Azami has submission if you got one of her older styles, while Emelia is just about damage. If you can use a formation that increases Emelia potential, Emelia will do more damage than Azami. So yes, I recommend summoning for her, especially if you don't have blunt and pierce damage dealers. Next one is Khalid, and Khalid is not so interesting in my opinion. Let's just click here on trial. So it starts with Brusque Slice. This attack gives him taunt. He needs taunt because he's a pseudo tank. Kind of wants to be a full tank, but in this game, just having high endurance is not enough. Well, Brusque Slice gives him taunt. The second one is Mirage Blade. I don't know why Mirage Blade is here at all, because it's not the focus of the character, and it's just AoE attack that deals slash damage, and it starts with 10 BP. D power can be reduced to 8. So the last attack is Tempest Moon. This attack is the selling point of this character. It's a very high attack damage that will also trigger a counter stance. And when he counters, he will counter with an attack that is kinda okay. It's an attack that he has on the Platinum version. So Tempest Moon is an attack that has double S damage, 13 BP cost, so kinda doesn't increase so much of the cost by keeping a very interesting mechanic. It's a counter stance that will only be effective for a single turn, so this is the problem of this type of skills. And it counterattacks with Demiluge that deals slash plus lightning, so very useful when you are facing enemies that are weak to slash or lightning. And it uses the skill rank of Tempest Moon, so get Tempest Moon maxed, the counter will also use the max rank. But the problem is just that it's for a single turn, and I only see the point of this if you are wanting to counter one enemy that has multiple hits. Because when you counter the first hit, the enemy stops attacking. Or if you are facing enemies that uses too many normal attacks, maybe you want to use Imperial Cross for this type of stuff. I am not so sure. I don't buy this type of gameplay yet. There are other characters in the future that don't need to use one skill to trigger counter, or can use a skill that's cheaper, so they can keep countering with a better hate. So, let's just give a look on his abilities. He has Draining Attack 3. This is a chance of 25% to recover HP when he attacks. It's good, but I think that he needed another passive to heal when he is attacked instead of just attacking. This also works for the counter attack, but the problem is just that he will not be countering all the time. 10 BP is very high even when fully awakened. So he will be attacking all the time but not countering all the time. See? That's the problem that I have with this design. The second skill is Armor Wall Defense that reduces 10% of all incoming damage on all times. It will always appear guard when he is attacking. And the last one is Self-Improvement. This one should have been traded for something that recovers HP when he's attacked. And when he lands an attack, he has a 25% chances of recovering 1 BP. That is not amazing and something that could be changed. So, I think that Khalid is a character that works for specific reasons only when you need to trigger something against enemies that have multiple attacks. I will give him something like a 6.5 or a 7.0 out of 10. This is Khalid. The next one is Faerie. And Faerie is the second best character from this banner, in my opinion. Faerie may look like a frail character and not so strong, but you're wrong about this. Let's just click here on trial. The first attack is called Flash Pierce. This is similar to Smash or other attacks that has C power and 5 BP, can be reduced to 4 for steady damage. But you won't be using this skill most of the time. You only want to use Double Trick. Double Trick is a very interesting attack because it has high damage and a buff. Starts with 8 PP cost, can be reduced to 6, so usually skill, attack, and gives her an STR buff that can stack. So if you are saving VP, you can just keep using this, you can get very high values on STR. And not many characters can do this type of stuff. There are some characters in the future that will be able to do very similar stuff, but they are very premium. There is an Ultra Deluxe character that can do even better. But for our peers, we don't have many other characters that can do similar. And not only that, but we are lacking very strong pierce damage dealers. So Double Trick is the best skill. But we also have Big Wheels. Big Wheels is AoE damage with very high multiplier. The problem is there is a very high VP cost as well. It starts with 16 VP. It can be reduced to 13. 13 is a little high as well, but you can use it on turn 2. Depending on how you plan your farming, you can still use this, but it's very hard to justify. Big Wheels could also be used after you stacked a little of your STR to just give a very high damage against a lot of enemies. Depends on how you plan, but it's possible. So, Faerie has very interesting attacks. She does not need anything else. She already has the whole package here, but she can inherit some other stuff with other styles. Let's click here on abilities to check her potential. First one is Fighting Spirit. She has a 25% chance of increasing her own STR. That increases her damage as well, and could stack with Double Trick. Imagine you use Double Trick to increase STR 2 times. That is amazing and increases a lot of damage. Second one is Self-Improvement. She can recover BP when she attacks. I think this is okay on this type of character that just wants to keep attacking all the time. And the last one is Fired Up 4, that increases her damage by 15% at all times. So yeah, this girl here is super strong in my opinion. She can be used for farming, she can be useful in challenges, in boss fights. I give this girl a very high value. So not only that, let's just give a look on something else. Here, I just made a filter on Now website, and you can see all of these are the current attacks on the Japanese version that can attack and buff on the same time. Actually, 3 of them here on the end of the filter are only buffs without attacks. But there are some characters that can buff while attacking. There are not many of them, and this attack, Double Trick, is only available to the 2 different fairies this game has. One is from Romancing Saga Tree, this one that we are summoning for, and the other one is the Faerie that we can get by playing the story. It's one for UniverSe. You can see that the buff gets up to 25% once maxed. It's a very good stuff, and you can also pass this to the future style of this Faerie, but you don't really need to. This one is already super strong in my opinion, and the best version of her. And well, let's just talk about the future version of this Faerie. It's good because it's not limited. You'll be able to summon it on the Platinum Summon, I think in 3 months from now. There is also access to AoE attack that's a little cheaper. C power 15 BP can be reduced to 8. And also strong single target attack. That can work if you stack like 2 double tricks and then you use this attack. That can be very useful. But this version is more about counter than direct damage. You see here she has chances of countering attacks and also healing HP instead of just increasing damage. Back to Faerie, I just think she's super strong. She has very high status. That can be confirmed by looking on this page here. She can get up to 88% on STR with plus 15, and she also has very high agility. You plan on use her on speculation, just use her on the 2 adjacent places instead of the front lines. She will also be able to avoid a lot of attacks because of her high agility, but she's very frail. You see that her endurance is only 30% increase. But stacking STR is something very strong for a character, and I recommend summoning for Faerie as well. Her grade is not as high as Emelia. For me, she is like a 9.0 out of 10, especially because we don't have many pierce damage dealers that are good on the front lines. She has a place in the current meta. Now this was Faerie. Let's just talk about Professor, the last SS from this banner. Professor was also changed for global. She has the first skill called a Trick Shot. This skill is just like smash, 3 damage, 5 BP. It's good if you want steady damage. The second one is Bound Shot. This one we already talked about many times. It's the one that we use it with Emelia and also with T260G. Very strong for steady damage as well if you want more damage, but sometimes you have to switch between normal attack. The last one is Popping Cracker, her selling point. This attack is an AoE damage with B power and 2 attack properties. That's Blunt plus Heat. Heat is fire. And can also inflict confusion on targets with a medium chance. You may think that medium is bad, but it's not, because this Professor has higher intelligence now. Way higher than she had in the original version. In order to understand that, I just have to go to my... and here we are on the Discord channel. Rider43 made a data mining, and he found out that it was 58% on intelligence before, and it was changed for 70. She lost a little endurance in order to get more intelligence. And I think it's super nice because more intelligence means that she will get more chances of inflicting confusion. And that is her selling point. You need that to make her better. So, these are for her attacks. Now let's just give a look on her abilities. She has Fighting Spirit 2, Dexterity. This one increases her dex when she's attacking. It's nice because it's the only thing that increases her damage potential. And she has Enervate 3. For intelligence and will. It's good against some boss fights when the enemy attacks with intelligence. They also have very high will, so reducing the will allow you to debuff the enemy, just like when you face Volcon. Volcon has a very high will. If you decrease the will, you will be able to perform more debuffs, and if you you also will be able to perform better damage with spells. So Professor is trying to be better for boss fights, but her skills are not so good for boss fights. She needed an attack that could also inflict something with a lower damage. Like 6 BP, 7 BP will be more interesting. Popping Cracker does not work mostly on bosses, so you cannot confuse them. So you will just ignore this on fights that you need to use her abilities. So there is a conflict of interest here. But Popping Cracker is just so amazing that when you get to use this, it will be very, very useful. You can plan on using this on the second wave, and that will help you in some farming state. Confusion is not so easy to find. It's one of the rarest type of status elements. So this is why it's interesting to have this on a character. I think she's more of an 8.5 out of 10, in my opinion. I wanted to get her, but I didn't, so I will wait a little more. And now we'll be talking about Fatima. And Fatima is an S style that's actually useful, but only for those that are starting and don't have many styles. So we don't think this character can be as strong as some others. We have S Will, that is a very strong S style, but she has some unique things. Mesmerize is one attack that can inflict sleep on target. So if you're facing a unique enemy that cannot be paralyzed or charmed or confused, you can try to sleep him. The problem is just that when you attack someone that is sleeping, the next turn he will get back into attacking. But it means that you got one turn where he couldn't attack. Second attack is Dancing Moon. This attack here is the selling point of this girl. She attacks and heal. Doesn't show here, but it's something that you can check here. She recovers her own HP. It doesn't recover for much, like 200 and something for now. It can be increased as long as the game gets more caps, but that's something that should be useful on the future style of this girl. But only when she needs healing, because she has better attacks for full damage. Okay, so the last attack is Word Ballet. That is useful for AoE farming, especially on Seeker's event. Very nice, you only need to awaken this once. And that is Fatima. I don't think we need to check her status because, well, only use her if you don't have SS styles. Second one is Nora, and Nora is not good. Well, she has super generic attacks. Roll Beat is at least good. There's Gale Strike, increases agility, and Seismic Strike that can also be used for farming. But you need to awaken, and I don't recommend you doing so. The only use of this Nora is to give Seismic Strike to her future SS style. But even then, you don't need this. And, well, it's only that. We don't have many things to talk. Her passives are terrible. I will not even comment on them. The second character is Valdor. Third character, actually. And Valdor is interesting because of Tiger Break. Tiger Break is on S attack. It's not high on damage, but it can give a buff. That's the only selling point of this character, because Dual Gunner and Corkscrew are not good attacks. And Valdor actually gets 2 SS styles in the future, but they have so much better damage than compared to Tiger Break that even if you get a buff, I still don't suggest using this. So, Valdor. And last, we have another version of Fatima. This is a Fatima. I'll be clicking here on Trial. And Cutting Lunge and Roundabout are generic attacks. Pierce Lightning is not so generic. It's Pierce plus Lightning damage. 9 BP, B power. You're already seeing this. The same design with Cordelia and some other characters. Increased BP cost, lower damage because it has 2 properties. But that didn't happen with Emelia, because Emelia is still super strong even when having 2 properties. So, this attack is not good. We will having better things to use lightning damage in the future that are not so costly. So I don't think this helps anyway the future SS Fatima, so you can simply skip. But this is the my review on all of these characters. Let's just go to the event to check some stuff. Hopefully this review was good for you to decide if you want to summon these characters or not. I will go here on the event. Let's go to Forgotten Chapel. This event here is super nice because the farming was reduced for some stuff, but for others no. You need to get this special item here on the top. It's a bouquet. So this is the shop. Sadly, it doesn't have all the items anymore because I recorded a first version of this video, but there was some audio problems and I purchased some stuff. You can purchase some special tickets for the current celebration. You can get 100. But that will take you some of the hair bouquets. That can take you some time to get them. You also need to use the featured characters for this to even drop. So bring at least one of the featured characters. You don't need to bring the featured styles, but the same characters. Just bring Valdor and it's okay. You also can farm for S-Rend pieces. There are a lot of pieces. You can also farm just by playing the game. You don't even need to purchase. But you will end up with so many normal bouquets that, well, you can easily get this guy to max. Sadly, he's not good. But you can also exchange this S-style pieces for the white crystals and then turn white crystals into gold pieces. That may not be worth because the exchange rate is not so good. There was also some books here and also one equipment I suggest you guys purchasing. And well, besides that, just get your green gems and try to get all of these pieces as well, even if you are not planning on getting the characters. Maybe in the future when this event comes back, we can get some of these styles for free without having to purchase. But, without having to summon. You also should be checking the weekly shop here on the homepage because they add some of the limited styles here, you can see. And you can purchase some A and S styles. We don't have this week, probably on the next week. And yeah, let's just go back to the event. I'm farming on very hard, using all the featured characters because I summoned for them. And I'm farming here on stage very hard, number 5. Let's just do a run so you guys can see how I'm doing. Here you can get lots of drops for rend pieces. You can even get 10 on a single run. That's why I'm saying that you can sell these style pieces and turn them into gold pieces. But that's only for those that have the time for that. On this event, you'll always be facing the same enemy. Unless it's the last stage. Stage number 9. Stage number 8 and up to the stage number 1 are all about this enemy here. He can inflict a lot of status elements. So let's just give a look on down shot when it's on a combo. Not even her fast attack. 10,000 damage. This girl is not even maxed. So if you saw my review on her, that's the reason why I'm hyping her. She is super strong. So let's see if we got some pieces for rent. We didn't, but I can get even 10 pieces. I'll show you guys one image. So with this image you can see that we can sometimes get 10 pieces of rent at once. That's super cool. Let me remove this image here, and yeah, I think this is it, guys. I won't be doing the last stage because I think it's too long. This video is already too long. It's not so hard to defeat the last boss, and this event also doesn't have a very good cap for your status farming. I can click here on the details and you will see that, well, you need to bring at least one of the featured characters, not styles. This image here is a little better to understand. You need to bring at least one of those, drop the fangs, and there's triple drops on the event. You see that you can get 3 status at once. That's super amazing, reduces a lot of the farming. But on story mode, these characters will only be getting double gains, double status. So farm here to get to 700 HP or maybe even 600, it's okay. And then just move to story. You will be getting more things, because here the cap is the same as Shadow Chains, is 700 HP and 45 on status. Well, okay, I think this is it, guys. Hope this helped you decide if you want to summon for these characters. If you like it and enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and you can also help the channel by using Patreon, PayPal, or the coffee button on the description of the video. We see each other on the next one. Bye.